Hey, what's going on everyone? Welcome to week 3 of the NCP where we are taking on Grandmaster D REY. I'm very excited for this game. I have played D REY a few times in the past. We've always come out on top, but I do think that this is a little bit more like this is like his home for D REY as it gets. Like I feel like I'm playing on the away side of things and he's on the home side of things because NCP is his baby. So he's the commissioner of this league, one of the commissioners I should say. And it's going to be really cool to go up against him again. And I will say this battle is absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, it's a great battle. So why am I doing postcom? I'm doing postcom because I had to play this when I was traveling back from Finland to Michigan. I was actually in Chicago for a few days and I just didn't have my setup. I only had my laptop and that's it. So my good friend Just Lucas was able to play this battle for me, not in the sense that he like made the moves or anything, but that we were able to sit and call and I would say, okay, Lucas, click this button, Lucas, click this button, and I would basically just tell him what to click. So you're going to see this from Lucas's, I guess, account per se, or his user of Sword and Shield. But either way, it made for a very interesting experience. I've done actually that for other people, but I've never done it myself. But that's part of the reason why this had to be post-comped. So, yeah, like I said, this is a great game. I'm very excited for this match. I will say that after this week, I made some transactions. I now have an Aselgor instead of the Zygarde 10% because Sally Mumble dropped the league and Sven joined and dropped Aselgor, and I love Aselgor, and that's just perfect for speed and more hazards. And that left me with 1 point, so I picked up 1 point Seeking as well. We'll see if I end up bringing that thing. But I was like, you know what, I have Rain. Might as well pick up a second Swift Swim on. So we got the Seeking as well, which is going to be pretty fun. But not for this game. This game, we have pretty standard stuff, which you're about to see. But yeah, like I said, this is a great game. And again, thank you to Lucas for setting this up for me. But yeah, we have the matchup here. No Scissor this week. First week we're not bringing Scissor. That Talonflame was very threatening, and not being able to hit things like the Excadrill as well. Kind of spooky. You see Lucas having some fun scrolling through the mons there as I'm trying to figure out what to lead. I ultimately just think Seismitoad. It's a regular physically defensive. Seismitoad's a pretty safe lead. The only bad lead it has is really like a Primarina with Energy Ball, and if that's something that it comes out, Roserade's a pretty free swap in. So yep, the Zapdos is just physically defensive. The Latias is Calm Mind, Roost, 2 attacks. Physically defensive Seismitoad, Flame Charge offensive Arcanine, a mixed defensive Snorlax, and then the last mon I believe is specially defensive Roserade because it's my only Primarina check. So I want to bring Rain at some point, but goddamn, I like have not had great matchups for it. I did not want to give Primarina Rain in this matchup, but this is about as perfect as a lead it can get for me. I lead the Seismitoad as he leads the Talonflame. I have a feeling either a U-turn or a Toxic is coming off here. I'm just going to get my rocks. I want to see what his removal is. I want to force that removal out. The more I'm forcing him to remove, I have spikes on Roserade too, the less he's getting offensive pressure against me, which allows my team to be a little bit more bulky defense. And again, this is a little bit more of a play style I haven't been playing in a while, this sort of bulkier strats. So we have our bulky Seismitoad here. I'm just going to knock things off. He opts to go for another Brave Bird again. He'll lose his boots. Oh, he U-turns here. He U-turns here. And I don't know what he wants to go into. He could go into like the Gigalith to get the stand up. He actually just goes into Hydreigon. And that was perfect for me because Hydreigon, if it was Scarf, I would love to have its Scarf removed. If it was anything else, I'd just like it to not have an item, because I think Hydreigon's one of those mons that's a very good mon, but is made even better by an item. So getting rid of Hydreigon's Habanberry, even though it doesn't mean anything necessarily, it does mean that I just now know that it doesn't have an item, because my Latios doesn't even have Draco on it, but has Aura Sphere instead. But nonetheless, it's good to know that this thing isn't Scarf. That's what makes Latios a great endgame here. As he's just going to go for Draco. So this is like my dedicated Hydra answer, and that Draco does quite a bit, like a ridiculous amount. I'm not Spadef, I'm just kind of max HP, so it makes sense. But I do know that this thing still sponges hits. I could like Superpower here, I could Body Slam, I could Protect for extra leftovers. I just go for Body Slam. I think Gigalith's a possible swap in, but like I don't know. I guess I just didn't want to lose my defense investment. This is probably a misplay. I probably should have superpowered here in hindsight, because I think his only valid swap in really is Gigalith. I was thinking maybe there's a universe he goes me and Xiao tries to like get super aggressive or something, but that wouldn't have made any sense. So I think I should have superpowered here, just get as much damage as possible against this damn Gigalith, but I end up doing that. But you know what, Body Slam is still going to be some chip, and what I like about this is, again, this thing's taking a ton of chip, which is going to put it in range of close combat from Arcanine. This tells me it's item, it's not leftovers as you're about to see, it's not helmet, so I'm pretty confident this is going to be Smooth Rock for the, what's it called, for the Excadrill. But I'm just going right back into my Seismitoad here. I would love nothing more than to spread Toxics and knock off more items. Here, I know that he's going to get his Rocks up. I don't mind too much because both my Rocks Week Mons are Boots this week, which is ideal. But nonetheless, I do have a little bit of a conflict here. I have to decide whether or not I want to click Knockoff again, thinking that something like a Primarina could come out, or if I want to click Toxic, because that would hit the Hydreigon if it opts to come right back in again. And I ultimately decide here that it makes sense for me to click Toxic, because if Primarina comes in, at least I still do something to it. And if the Hydreigon comes in, then I get this Toxic, which is really nice for things like my bulkier mons like Zapdos. So I do get that Toxic off, and honestly, this Sand is really nice for me, because since I'm a ground type, I'm not taking Chip. Hydreigon is. So Chips plus Chip of Sandstorm plus Poison is really going to start wearing this Hydreigon down. And Hydreigon being worn down is absolutely amazing for this endgame, because it means it's in range of Aura Sphere from Latias. It means that Zapdos can kind of be a little bit more free, and if this thing goes down, it frees up my Snorlax to be a sack, or frees up even like Roserade to just be 100% dedicated towards taking on Primarina. Make another little bit of a weird play here. I'm not entirely sure if he is U-turn yet or not, but I think that, I don't know. I think just going into my Snorlax is probably safer here. I don't have the most ideal swap-ins to this. Ends up working out for me. I mean, this would have been a sack if he clicked Draco, but I suppose with Sandstorm and Toxic, he probably would have also died. So maybe going Snorlax was the right play, but you know, it's still, I guess, marginally questionable. I'm not entirely sure. I think here is where I make a little bit weird of a play, because I know that he knows that Draco doesn't kill me, so I'm thinking, okay, he might swap out here, trying to, you know, preserve this thing, and he doesn't want to take more Toxic Chips. So I'm actually going to double into my Roserade, trying to catch a Gigalith coming in here that I can Leaf Storm or set up a Spike on, as he just raw Draco Meteors, which is not good for me at all. This is now my Roserade, you know, was meant to take on Primarina. This being weekend is a nightmare now, because it means I cannot swap into Primarina, which means I have to rest ASAP, and I have to hope, essentially, that this thing does not have Flamethrower. I think it needs to have Flash Cannon for Grimmsnarl, and I think that it revealed Roost, and I feel like it would want Dark Pulse as well, so I would think maybe it doesn't have a fire move, but I just have to risk it all here. Like, I have to rest at this point, and he just goes for another Draco, and I live on 11, which is absolutely amazing. I can click rest here. Now you might be saying, where's the sleep talk? It's natural cure, y'all, so I can swap out after I rest here and be completely and fully healed, which is absolutely phenomenal. So trying to kind of figure out where I want to go from here. This again confirms to me that it's probably not Fire Blast or Flamethrower. He's just going to take a ridiculous amount of damage on this Hydreigon, because he stayed in for so long. And, you know, defensive strategies, y'all. Look at, you know, my team's pretty high health, so I'm able to go into my Zapdos here pretty confidently, knowing that nothing will take it out, since it's -4, I think, at this point. And Talonflame comes in, which was, I'm not going to say intentional, but I'm just going to say it worked out. I was not expecting Talonflame to come in. I just kind of got lucky with that swap out, but hey, what happens, happens. I'm just going to Volt Switch here. Do I think it's likely he goes into Excadrill hard? I would be very surprised, because it can't kill me with anything. He also doesn't even know that I'm Volt Switch and not U-turn, so That seems like a strange play to me to make. So because I'm confident Excadrill won't come out, I'm pretty sure that Volt Switch is a safe pivot move option at this point in time. He will never stay in Talonflame. Honestly, he might not even U-turn because I'm static. I'm not pressure. He knows I'm static, and he doesn't want this thing to become paralyzed. So he's got to switch out into something. It won't be Excadrill. Volt Switch is just wildly free as he goes into Hydreigon, which is absolutely perfect for me because after the Rocks Chip, this Volt Switch will absolutely KO the Hydreigon. I gotta say, Zapdos, despite being a round 1 pick, everyone was like, this is more like a round 2 pick, but you picked it round 1, has really been delivering. Defensively, it's a very, very potent mon and a strong pivot mon. I'm enjoying using it thus far. Does not, give me the vibes of something so blatantly powerful like a Zera or even a Coco, but it performs in a different way. It, I think, just puts pressure on the opponents and almost forces them to make a move that would cause their downfall. I don't really have to do much thinking with Zapdos, I suppose, is kind of the way I'm trying to put this, which I like. I like not thinking. Not thinking's pretty cool. But, you got to be careful with these defensive strategies. I mean, with that Rose Raid play, if I died there, I think I just lost the game because that's my check to Primarina. So, when I play these games in the future and I play these sort of defensive strategies, I have to bear in mind I can't just throw out sacks like I'm used to in my more offensive playstyles. I got to be a little bit more preservative, but thankfully I did rest with that Rose Raid earlier. Primarina comes out here. Could flip turn on the Water Absorb Mon, that would be a great play, but I'm just going to go into this. I'm not going to overplay my hand or anything like that. He calls it, he goes for flip turn. It's not the end of the world. This isn't going to do much. It's not like my Rose Raid is at a point now where it can't take on the Primarina again. This is just going to give him momentum. But the question is momentum into what, right? Would he go hard drill? I have Zapdos. Would he go into this? I also have Zapdos. So Zapdos, generally speaking, just kind of checks anything that pressures this. So I like the combination of these two mons very much. So he can call me on the double. He can try and U-turn here, but he's risking a static. But he actually goes for the overheat, which is a cool bring on his part because it's a way to hit my Zapdos without worrying about the possible static popping off. So very cool on his part. Also, shout out to Lucas for clicking moves quickly. I've seen people, play with someone else clicking their buttons for them when they need to, and they click so slow or run out the timer, but we're actually ahead of time on D REY, which is pretty sick. This is an interesting part in the game. Basically, I get a little bit greedy here, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I would love even more chip on this Gigalith because it guarantees that it dies from Arcanine's close combat if it's physically defensive, and I don't think he'll go into Excadrill. I was pretty confident, but in hindsight, I didn't really have any reason to Volt Switch because I was going to go hard Seismitoad after Volt Switching on this, and going hard Seismitoad here by not Volt Switching, just going immediate hard Zapdos or going hard Seismitoad instead of Volt Switching into Seismitoad would have been better for this situation in which he calls me on the Volt Switch and goes into Excadrill. Sorry, I fumbled my words a little bit there, but you get the idea. I shouldn't have Volt Switched. I should have just gone hard Seismitoad because this obviously puts me in risk. Now I'm in a situation where I'm essentially sacking my Zapdos to just get a big Heat Wave off, but he actually flinches me. And this is what turns the tides of the game into something that is very, very scary because I am now looking at this situation where Zapdos was my dedicated answer to this thing. It was going to live a Rock Slide. I was going to get a Heat Wave off, and then he was going to be pretty much in range of Rocks plus 1 Life Orb recoil. I mean, he would have been down to about 15-20%. And, nope, he gets the flinch, so it tightens the game quite a bit here. And I'm going to sack my Snorlax here. I think it's far less useful than my Zapdos. And he makes another amazing play and recognizes that and goes for Rapid Spin. So it's going to force him to take an extra round of Life Orb, but it's also going to give him the speed boost, and it's going to remove the rocks, which is massive because the rocks were super important for damage against Gigalith. I was mentioning I wanted that CC range. It's super important for getting range against Primarina. Important for a lot of things. So major props to D REY for that play because had I stayed in and sacked the Zapdos, I would have lived, gotten a Heat Wave off, and potentially even gotten a static. So some big balls. I'm a fan of it. And what this forces me to do is it forces me to go into Seismitoad. D REY now has to make a choice of whether or not he wants to, you know, deal about 50-60% to me in exchange for dying, or if he wants to swap out here. I'm fine just clicking Earthquake. I don't really have a choice. You know, if I don't click Earthquake and don't assess the threat right in front of me, and he Earthquakes me, then I just lose the game, because he even has a speed boost, so he'll be faster than my entire team even after the sand runs out. But I just get an Earthquake off against this Primarina, which is pretty fine. You know, again, this puts it in range of Wild Charge from Arcanine. It puts it in range of things like Volt Switch from Zapdos. And puts it in range of Psyshock from Latias, which is all extremely important. So I'm going to go right into my Roserade here. I could, you know, say, okay, I went into Roserade last time. Maybe he's going to click Ice Beam. Maybe he's going to click Psychic. But at this point, I'm in a situation where I can't lose Seismitoad. Seismitoad is my only thing, now that Zapdos is chipped, that will take any one hit from the Excadrill, so I need to keep this thing alive. I guess Latias can too, but then I'm risking like Iron Head flinches. And I don't even know if Aura Sphere kills from the range that Excadrill is at, so I'm really relying on the Seismitoad to at least take one hit from the Excadrill, so I have to be very careful about it taking any more extra damage, and kind of take whatever opportunities I can to give it as much leftovers recovery as possible. But thankfully here, he just assesses the Seismitoad in front of him. I think he recognizes that it being chipped means Excadrill wins. So he goes for it, but I go Roserade, and this allows me to get free spikes up, which is super cool. It, you know, is nice, again, because that Gigalith range is ultra important, and even things like Mienshao it's super important for, as well, if it's some kind of fatter set, you know, making sure that it dies to a Flare Blitz, it dies to a Psyshock is equally important. We see Talonflame come in here. This is a tricky situation for me because as much as I know that Seismitoad is a great answer, again, I need this HP alive for Drill not to just beat me in the end, so I am forced to sack my Zapdos here, unfortunately, which is not very ideal at all, but, you know, it's what I need to do, because, again, I cannot take Chip on my Seismitoad, and D REY's actually up 5-4 against me. This is... he's definitely been playing very, very well. I think I've been getting a little unlucky with that Rock Slide flinch, but, you know, he's playing to his outs, and this is definitely going to be a tight game. There's no way either of us walks out of this match with that big of a differential win, I will say. So I am going to go into my Arcanine here. I figure this is my opportunity to start putting on pressure against my opponent. The Gigalith could come in here. I actually like this because I think it does force the Gigalith to be sacked, which I like. Because his only way to revenge Arcanine after this Flame Charge is with either Scarf Mienshao, which killing me with Stone Edge would be a roll, I believe. And he doesn't know, like, if I'm bulky or not, anyway. Point being, I think it forces him to get up sand. Like, he can't sack anything else and then go into Scarf Mienshao. He might not even be Scarf Mienshao, you know. His best play here is to sack the Gigalith and then, or at least get the sand up at the very least, and then get Excadrill in. So I do get the Flame Charge off. I contemplate, you know, maybe I go back into Seismitoad and I don't let Drill come back in. But ultimately, I've committed to this at this point. The play from here is to kill the Gigalith, sack something to the Excadrill, and then threaten the Excadrill with Seismitoad. And from there, I can play with my final mons to try and come up with some sort of win con, potentially. So that is definitely what we're going to do here, and try and pull off, but we'll see. But we are going to knock off the Gigalith, which is knock out the Gigalith. Phenomenal, amazing. And now Excadrill comes in. Now I'm in a weird spot here because I can opt to stay in and just sack this thing off. But I think that even though Primarina's alive, I actually want to have Arcanine because Arcanine outspeeds Primarina, and that draining his damage from earlier kind of confirmed to me that it's going to be choice specs. So I want to keep Arcanine around, and I figure Roserade, even though it's good, it's got a spike up. It probably won't even take one more hit from Primarina anyway if it clicks Ice Beam or something. May as well just sack that thing, then bring in the Seismitoad. Now, D REY has one way of winning this game instantly. I guess not instantly, but like near instantly. And that is through flinches. So he could click Iron Head on my Seismitoad, and then click Iron Head again, and then click Earthquake if he flinches both those 2 times, and then he could try and Iron Head flinch my Latias. And I think he has enough turns to do that. So he could win this game right here 4-0 through flinches. And it's entirely possible, and we'll have to find out. And that's something I straight up can't do anything about other than cross my fingers and hope. You could also swap out, but since Sand is now on a timer and can't be reset unless there's like Sandstorm, me and Shao in the back, I think his best play is to just kind of go for it. His best play is to just kind of do as much to my team as possible to let the Talonflame and the Mian Shao in the back kind of work its way. He is going to get the flinch here. Now, this puts me in an interesting spot. I run the calc. If he's Adamant Max, Earthquake doesn't look like it should kill me, and I do live on 22. So that's really cool. I think he would have had to Iron Head again and get another flinch. But I'm very, very grateful that he did not. I'm grateful that did not happen. Even though Seismitoad is very much low now. The X-Drill's gone, and because of that Rock Slide flinch earlier, it became the biggest threat to my team because Zapdos was no longer healthy. So killing this with Seismitoad wasn't intentional on prep, but I'm glad it happened. This Mian Shao comes in. It's not Boots, so I'm immediately trying to think, okay, is this thing Choice Scarf? It might be. I'm not sure. Let's see what he locks into. I'm not going to play around. I'm not going to go into Latias. I'm just going to stay in, and I want to see what move he clicks. Because if he's choiced, I can go into either Arcanine or Latios dependent on what move he clicks. If he clicks U-turn, then it gives me momentum. And he just goes for knockoff. So here's the interesting sort of series of plays. I can either go into Latias and just risk this thing not being Choice Scarf. Or I can go into Arcanine and try and Flame Charge. However, if he is Stone Edge and he crits me, then I just die. So that's not good. So I figure, if he's not choiced, then I win the game by Flame Charging. I just have to hope that Stone Edge doesn't crit. He isn't choiced, he goes for Stone Edge, and he gets the critical hit against me. So I would have lived that because of that Intimidate drop. And the fact that I died there to the crit Stone Edge meant that I couldn't get the Flame Charge off. It would have... Wild Charge would have KO'd the Talonflame. Flare Blitz would have KO'd the Mian Shao. Wild Charge would have KO'd the Primarina. It would have won there and then. But it's not here nor there. We still have Latias left. We know this thing isn't Choice Scarf. We're going to go for Psyshock. It's Latias against the world, baby. We're trying our best. Been enjoying Latias a lot this season. So we'll see if the boy can bring it back. Or the girl, rather. Jury the Latias can bring it back. Talonflame comes in. Now this is very intriguing. I've seen Brave Bird, I've seen U-turn, I've seen Overheat. I think the last move has to be Roost. It's not going to be Swords Dance. Don't think it's going to be Toxic. I think it's going to be Roost. So I'm going to Roost myself here because I'm at a range now that if he Braves Birds and then I go for Psyshock and then he Brave Birds again, I lose because I'm in range of 2 Brave Birds. So what I need to do is I need to force him to Brave Board, have him take recoil to the extent that either he's forced to Roost or he's in range of Psyshock. And from there, I just need to, hope and pray. He's going to go U-turn, get Sense Me down to 84. That's Brave Bird range. So I'm very happy that I clicked Roost this turn because had I clicked Psyshock, I would have lost the game instantly. Because even though I kill this, then Brave Bird KOs me right after. So now the game plan comes down to I'm at full HP now. Can 2 Brave Birds KO me? And I'm looking at the calcs from that very turn 1 against Talonflame when it clicked Brave Bird against me, against my Seismitoad. And while it didn't look offensive, it definitely looked to have some attack investment. And that's what's scaring me, because I don't know if this thing got a low roll earlier. I don't know if it got a high roll earlier. I'm not entirely sure. So the calc that I'm looking at looks to me like Brave Bird, generally speaking, has a chance to it KO me. It has a chance. I don't know what that chance is, but it has some chance. And I'm in a situation where he might be going for those rolls. I need to make sure that he's in range of Psyshock. However, he's going for U-turns, and I'm like thinking to myself, okay, maybe there's a chance here. The calcs from Bravebird and U-turn aren't too far off, but Bravebird is definitely doing more than U-turn. So I'm at a point now I'm saying, okay, he's going into he's, clicking U-turn at this point. There's still a possibility that Bravebird KOs me from this range. It seems like a very small roll because U-turn didn't do as much as Bravebird. And I just have to hope that he doesn't get that roll at this point. If he clicked Bravebird that turn before, then again, I would be hoping just that he doesn't get the roll. But he doesn't get the roll here either with the U-turn into the Bravebird, and I'm able to finish this thing off with the Psyshock. So Latias carrying this week on its back, on its jet wings, in order to let us pull away from a very, very narrow 1-0 win. Definitely the closest game we've had against D REY, and definitely one of the most fun games we've had against D REY, I would say. And probably the most fun game of the NCP thus far. I'm an unfortunate situation that I wasn't able to do this live com, because I was definitely, Lucas will tell you, the gears were turning in my head a lot this game. I had to do a lot of thinking, so tons of credit to D REY for that one. And definitely go check out his side of the game. Tomorrow's battle in UPBA will also be post-com. It's actually against Lucas, who helped me with this game. And after that, hopefully regular content should resume once I am more settled back home. So that'll be pretty cool. All right, I will see you all then. Thanks for watching. Bye.